DK Drama, Bird Gang Sports. Let's get it. All right, man. Cris Carter, first thing first, man. He covered Carson Wentz and the Eagles basically about a week ago on First Things First on the show. And I just recently came across that video. That video was probably about 7 days old. And I'm not trying to, I'm not here to give y'all old content or nothing like that. I'm just trying to give y'all some insight on, what the real analysts, what the professionals think about Philadelphia Eagles and Carson Wentz coming into the season and what they think our quarterback is really going to do. And from the past, from the injury and his whole status throughout the season, with Nick Foles taking over until where Nick Foles is at going into Jacksonville. And you know what though? I kind of think my man right. I don't like some of his opinions because, he doesn't hold nothing back. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's not going to just give us all of the good stuff. He's going to give you the bad too. So I do respect his opinion with this, but we're just going to watch this video right here and I want to hear some of y'all opinions at the end of this video, and we just gonna debate it up, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, let's just start this right now.
Guys, I just believe when you just look at him, man, he's got everything that you want. Size, he's the prototype quarterback. Unfortunately, early in his career, and this happens to a lot of players, when you get nicked or you start getting injuries, it's not that people just question your overall ability, but man, there's a lot of times in the NFL, Anthony Carter, fourth game I ever played with the Vikings, his hamstring gets tight on a Friday. We were playing on Monday night before the game. They had him warm up. He couldn't go.
He a special quarterback.
Man, that was the worst day of his career. Not because of his hamstring.
The injury.
Man, they put me in there.
And
I went for like 170 and 2 touchdowns. And it was a wrap as far as who was going to be the number one guy. And pressure, it's real in the league. And they have guys in that locker room, man, that can put a different type pressure on you that cause you to do things that are uncharacteristic. And you think all players, professional athletes, have confidence. No, they don't. It's very, very fragile. And when you see, when they put Nick Foles in there and that team, man, went up a couple clicks, their passing game start working. That crowd got behind them. And next thing you know, they're beating New England in the Super Bowl. Man, that could shatter your confidence. He tried to do all the right things, say all the right things,
and he keeping
but
it 100%
it is officially
real.
His team now that Nick Foles has gone on to Philadelphia. You add someone like Deshaun Jackson as a deep threat, one of the best we've ever seen in the league as far as the deep ball. And let's get back to that physicality with that offensive line. Let's get a running game, which creates play action, which I believe he has his best season. We give him credit for an MVP season a couple seasons ago. He wasn't able to finish that season out, but I still believe he should be one of the top 5 MVP candidates we have going into the season. Him and Aaron Rodgers are my guys to be able to look for the 2019 regular season.
Your point about what happened in your experience, where that tight hamstring for Anthony Carter wouldn't have been as a devastating professional moment as it was if you hadn't gone out and done what you did and were who you were. It's similar with Carson. If I would have been right 2 years ago, that, you know what, the Eagles are now drawing dead. They lost the MVP, can't win a Super Bowl. If Nick Foles, which they almost...
One more play in that Atlanta game.
Exactly right. That's exactly what I was about to say. If in that first playoff game, that Atlanta game, it goes the way it looked like it was going to go. They had some very good fortune at halftime, if you remember, of that game. Got ball that could have been intercepted, wasn't. If Julio's just able to get 2 feet in bounds at the very end, then nobody's questioning Carson Wentz. And then what happened last year only redoubled the pressure in this regard. The 2 years ago Eagle team was great with Wentz, and then they were able to rekindle that greatness in the NFC Championship and the Super Bowl. Last year's Eagles team
was just great. There was no rekindling.
And then Carson goes down,
just
and then all of a sudden they have a spark.
That's
they
the
win a
thing,
playoff game again with another
like
good fortune. The double doink game.
We never went down.
Against Chicago, remember? And so
great.
It is not surprising to me that Carson was in a difficult spot the last 2 years, and now is relieved that nobody's looking over his shoulder. The backup quarterback for the Eagles is Nate Sudfeld. You don't got to worry about him. And even if he wasn't worried about Nick Foles, he knew that Nick Foles' championship ring sparkled a little differently than his. They might be the same ring, but it's not. And so now he gets to go try to be back the guy who he was at North Dakota State, the guy that made them take him number 2 overall. And the only real question to me, Jenna, is his ability to stay healthy. And it's not an unfair question. He had a small fracture in his back when he was growing up that was revealed later.
Yep.
Broke his wrist in college, got his leg shattered in year 2, had another back issue last year. That's a lot of injuries, and we've got to see him play the full 16.
And let's keep in mind, you like this organization. This is a good organization. This is an organization that doesn't want that pressure on Carson Wentz, which is why they gave him his money this offseason. They said, we have confidence in you. You're going to be able to go out there and do it. Lane Johnson said something else that was interesting. He said, we were underdogs 2 years ago and we won. Last year, we didn't really have an identity. We didn't know who we were, and we kind of struggled a little bit. So who is this team now with this quarterback that's just now coming back with a new wide receiver? I mean, what kind of identity do you think this team's going to have?
The number one thing you hear them saying is it's Carson Wentz's team. And however he decides to play, that's how we're going to go. That's a constant theme you're going to hear from the coach. You're going to hear from the organization, from their star players. They realize he's a stud. And last year, not only Carson Wentz, but there was disappointing performances by a lot of their players. That team's got to be led by their offense, by Carson Wentz. They'll bring back that deep passing game. You should be excited. If you're an Eagles fan, you should be excited. It's hard to come off of that Super Bowl. All the accolades, all the pats on the back. And you know something? Those Philly fans, they didn't help Carson Wentz out either. You know why? Because they were snipping at him. Oh, man, Nick Foles. Oh, Nick Foles, man. Oh, Nick Foles. Oh, St. Nick. No, oh, now he's down there in Jacksonville. Those Philly fans get behind your quarterback and Carson Wentz, and they are a legitimate Super Bowl contender this year.
All right, good stuff.
All right, man. You heard it from the horse's mouth yourself just now. We are a legitimate Super Bowl contender this year. With all the pieces, everybody healthy, and everybody ready to go. I think Carson ready to take those last 2 years and sweep that under the rug, get it behind him, and get to the real ship. Like he said, like Nick Wright said, he thinks Nick Foles' ring got a different type of twinkle to it, got a different type of shine to it, because he really put that work in. He really was on the gridiron, you know, doing what he really was putting that work in, basically, to get that ring for real. Carson led the way. I'm not taking that from him, but Nick ultimately ran the way through the playoffs. But let me know what y'all think about what Cris Carter had to say about Carson Wentz and the Philadelphia Eagles. And like, share, and subscribe to my channel.